record. Now we are recording.
Perfect.
Yes.
Thank you, Mariana. Thank you, Mariana. Well, I would like to welcome everybody to the second session of the day for this RUC-APS online project workshop. Today we have Mariana del Pino and Susana Gamboa talking about peri-urban horticulture in La Plata. This is a very interesting topic regarding to the Work Package 14. Mariana del Pino and Susana Gamboa has been an amazing contribution to the project, and we're just delighted that they can present their contribution to the European community. So Mariana, whenever you want.
Okay. Hello, everybody. Thank you for attending this presentation. I'm Mariana del Pino, and with Susana Gamboa, we work in the Faculty of Agriculture and Forestry Science of the National University of La Plata. And we work participating in this RUC-APS project in the Work Package 14. The name is Best Practices for Horticulture Production in Peri-urban Areas. I will this. Well, this is the map of La Plata, of the city of La Plata. As you see in the map, the city was grilled square design, was founded in 1892, and is the main political, administrative, and educational center of Buenos Aires. We are the fourth city in Argentina with 830,000 inhabitants, and the National University of La Plata was founded in 1890, and is one of the three great universities in Argentina, with 10,900 teachers, 120,000 students, 17 faculties, 137 degree careers, and 167 post degrees. Now I have problems.
What happened, Mariana? I see everything.
Problems with my.
Moving to the next slide.
Yes, no, I have problem with the internet. Can you hear me?
Very well.
Perfect.
Now, yes? Okay. Can you tell me by phone? Okay. Our place in territory is this, the peri-urban greenbelt of La Plata. This is the map you see here, and this is the belt. We can see this map again later. This is our country, Argentina, that is an agricultural country par excellence. And although cereals and meat are the main production, we have a very important problems with the noises. We have a very important horticulture too. This is our surface, 700 hectares horticulture, that is very big. This includes the legumes with 200,000 hectares. And as you see here in the map, we have different areas grouped throughout and across the country, from the tropical north areas to the cold Patagonia in the south. They supply almost all the horticultural products throughout all the year. Production is more than 96% for domestic market, and we export just a few vegetables, especially for our neighboring countries, Brazil and Paraguay, and some else, a few amount to Europe, United States, and other countries in the world. This is the crop situation in hectares about the different main products Potatoes, of course, is the main product that we produce, and then the others. For example, about onions, we are the second producer in the world. This is the a map of Buenos Aires city, as you know very well, Angelo, and shows the surroundings of the city where the horticulture production is. The Buenos Aires city is a mega city, and here is called the metropolitan area of Buenos Aires. And you can show the rings that is plenty of population and production to the first, the second, the third, and the fourth from nearest the city and farther away. And here is the city of La Plata. We are 54 kilometers from Buenos Aires. And here is the Rio de la Plata River, that is our main river, of course. Here we can see again a nearer map of La Plata. Here the Buenos Aires River. We are, and this is the green belt of La Plata with the main important production areas is marked in red circles. We are 30 kilometers from the Rio de la Plata River. And for example, some of you know my house. I live here. And for example, Serviverde's farm with Damian Simotin and their family live here. I want to highlight that this is the main grain belt in Argentina. Well, La Plata Greenbelt have suffered over the last 15 years a strong capitalization, mainly expressed in the building of greenhouses that in 2017 was estimated in 4,400 more or less hectares of wooden structure and polyethylene covers, which represented an increment of the occupied covered area of about more than 300% in this year. The producers are estimated more or less, because we have no data exactly, in 6,000 producers, from the biggest to the smallest one. It's a very big surface and a lot of farmers compared to the most important areas of the world. And this event was influenced by the big immigration of Bolivian people, which came to occupy a very large percentage of the agricultural worked land in these 30 years. This is some of the greenhouses types that we have here in the area, mainly with wood and plastics. And we have few parabolic type of metallic. I mean, all of them are what we call cold greenhouses, because they are not heated in the winter, and they have spontaneous climatization. Well, here are the main crops in La Plata horticulture belt. Here we have the crops that are in the 90% of the surface of the greenhouses, especially tomatoes, peppers, lettuce, and spinach. And here above, below, we have the main crops in the open fields, cabbages, beets, and squashes. We have mainly as a productive horticulture process, mainly is conventional, with some regulatory framework about the use of chemicals. We have organic or biological or ecological production too, but we are only few. We are because I'm an organic producer myself. And as same as good agriculture practices, they are very few certified. And although the integrated pest management are used by some of the producers in La Plata, the product named itself like integrated product doesn't exist in the market, in our market for the moment. So with this description of our vision of La Plata, we want to describe the problems in our sector. We identify some problems, especially what we can call bad horticulture practices, because they carry problems of inocuity in final product and risk to the workers and the environment. So we identify especially the bad use of pesticides, the use of fresh manure as amendments or fertilizers, the bad hygiene and security, and the lack of record keeping, and a very proof in some producers, disinformation in general. Therefore, we decided to work in what we call good agriculture practices. So we could work in different steps in the horticulture value chain, trying to improve the chain as a whole, but more specific in the agronomic, in the production steps, because we are agronomists. So we decided to work with good agriculture practices that, as the definition, we can say that they are agricultural practices that are supported by scientific and technical knowledge, which applied to agriculture in a certain temporal and spatial place, achieve sustainable production, understanding, and such that which can be perpetuated over time and has environmental, economic, and social stability and guarantee quality and food safety. In Argentina, indeed, they are now, they will be for mandatory compliance for next year in January for 2021 for the horticulture sector. Now is mandatory compliance for fruit. How we analyze each good agriculture practice in a very easy way. We try to, is the time, I think, but maybe we can go on with the same presentation, I don't know. How can, well,
if it disconnects, we can go back with the same link, but I think we still have time.
Okay. Well, we organize our work very simple. We wanted to try to identify all good practices with the tools and inputs involved in the practices, and then we could identify the final product or the harvested product and some waste, because we have every time waste. The good practices were these, and we identified some tools and inputs. We identify especially security and hygiene with some important tools or inputs as water analysis, manipulation of the products, packaging, hygiene, workers' clothes. In harvest, packaging, warehouses, and selling are some, they share with security and hygiene some inputs and tools. related to water, to the design of the warehouse. In irrigation, water requirement, quality and frequency of water. In crop management, seeds, inputs, pesticides, fertilizers. In amendments and fertilizers, composting, manure, requirement of nutrients. In integrated pest management, pesticides, monitoring, traps, biological control. In record keeping, the forms and the data. In training, the security, well, in training all the other, we try to work with all the others practices. Well, secure adhesion is very related to warehouses, and we consider very important to study all the details related to this practice because there's no information about it, especially within the small farmers, but also in larger ones. From the water that is contaminated in general, the contact of the product with the soil, the animals between the crops, and the design of the warehouse, all these rules make the microbiological safety of the vegetable, and it is more risky because we work with fresh products. But today, the pandemic, the COVID-19, with this pandemic, the most important advice is to spread the protocols to fight against this pandemic. That advice, all the practices we already all of us know, as how to wash better the hands, use of sheet naps, and clean all with chlorine. We have deep waters, deep problems with water in La Plata because in general the wells are contaminated. Well, and the producers don't do analysis and don't clean we have no information really how to clean the water. We studied a lot of methods of sanitizing, of clean the water better. The water analysis must be done frequently, and the prevention of microbiological contamination must be a rule. In amendments and fertilizers, the biggest problem is that the fresh manure is used generalized and well must be composted or replaced, and the soil analysis must be done, and the requirement of the crop nutrients must be known, that we know. As we have been working for years with integrated pest management and biological control, we emphasized our work in promoting it, and we work in different lines, which were agrochemicals, biological control, collateral effects of pesticides, monitoring, traps, and organic production. We studied the population and the control of these natural enemies in detail, Orius insidiosus and some Acarus, and Tupiocoris cucurbitaceus with, well, this for trips and this for white fly. We use traps for control and for monitoring, and we identify some of the beneficial insects in our area. We work especially with some crops like tomato and peppers, and we made some leaflets with the these main pests and main natural enemies to work in the field with this as monitoring. The pesticides problematic is very important, very complex, and we made a characterization study of each pesticide for each horticulture crop. The regulation on pesticides is usually not known, so we have worked to spread some information about the regulation. The regulation are this, and information about toxicity for human health and waiting time, safety worker clothes, the pesticides, when the workers apply pesticides without protection, and for the environment, the effects, the collateral effects against natural enemies and another wild birds, wild animals. To record keeping has a lot of complexity to improve, but it's important because it guarantees traceability and support the decision making. In this subject, we mark all the issues, the activities that it's important to have data and to record keeping, and we collect a lot of forms and forms, and with Lifia we developed a tool when we can join all the data together in the tool. About training and promotion, we because we needed to spread the good practices that we have to do, the producers has to do. So we work in a work committee during some years. We make different meetings and workshops. We made formal courses and projects. For example, well, this is a day training. This is a field training about biological control. And we have in the university, in the faculty, a diplomature for small producers especially, and we are organizing the Congress, the Argentinian Congress for next year with the topic integrated sustainable technology into green belts. And with Lifia too, we developed this wiki that maybe we can enter. This wiki where about good agriculture practices, where we introduce a lot of information. No, it's very bad, no. No, we go on. Well, a wiki, this is the link where we introduce a lot of information there about good agriculture practices. And finally, from the processes product, we have the product, the final product to harvest derived from different protocols. We have in Argentina some protocols that I'm showing you here, and we are developing much more. And I wanted to highlight a very good certifier in UK called Retractor, that maybe Jorge, you know it. That we could obtain a lot of information, a very valuable, very, very good information about good practices, and they have a lot of protocols. Well, and then waste, with the waste we have really problems because we have different kind of problems that we don't know what to do. This is one of the one that we have a lot of in the horticulture production, that is unsold. Se me va a acabar en 10 minutos. Well, okay. Unsold crops for different reasons that we can send to a food bank, but it's difficult to send to a food bank. So we incorporate it into the soil we let for animals. We have another kind of waste, maybe more toxic, that can be all kind of waste, plastics from the broken greenhouses, and empty phytosanitary containers. The producers usually burn these because they don't know about the contamination, or they are not aware. And we try to advise another kind of channel to recycling, because we have informal channels to do it and not to burn. Well, I finished. I don't know if we can
shall we close the session and open it again? How that works?
I try.
So you mean we all go out and then come back fast?
Yeah, to the same session, because it's only 8 minutes, and I'm sure there will be many questions that will last more than 8 minutes. So
let's do that.
Shall we go out and come back?
Yeah, Mariana, you close the session, finish the meeting, and
the other is recording.
Yeah. Anyway, your presentation was really nice. I really enjoy all what you presented.
Thank you, Jorge. My English is
we are waiting for Alejandro to arrive. Alejandro is coming.
I'm here.
My English is very bad, and I try to speak faster, but I can't.
No need to. So just remember to, you're recording already, so perfect.
Yes.
By the way, Rachel, I just remember that Rachel mentioned you that your English was really good.
No, the presentation was very clear, Mariana. Very nice presentation.
Yeah, actually, and plenty of questions, actually.
I agree, Mariana. Your English was very good, and the presentation was very clear. So
thank you, Rina.
Yeah, well, I have a question, very rapid now. How big is La Plata? I mean, how many people?
830,000.
Oh, so it's quite big. I mean, and there is still room to make agriculture in the perimeter area.
Yes, it's a lot. I didn't said exactly this because we have no data about our situation. Our last census data is from 25.
Okay.
To 2005.
2005.
Yes.
Okay.
This well, and with this strong immigration that we have from Bolivia, we have a lot of producers. Some of them are very small, 1 hectare, maybe 1 hectare open field, or maybe 1 hectare greenhouse covered, but they are using new areas that they were there were agriculture with cows,
so,
because we have cows all
so
over
they
the
were
country.
Open fields. I mean they were for breeding animals. So they are converting them in
agriculture. In horticulture, yes.
Horticulture.
It's very interesting that you go, maybe I live here in the countryside, and you go for new places, regions, and they are all covered like Almeria. It's very, very well. I don't know this year, but we are stronger. The horticulture area now with the COVID-19, sorry, is stronger because in this area we have a floriculture production too, and the floriculture was not working during these 3 months, and now there are much less consumed because there are no restaurants, no cemetery,
no parties,
no nothing. Terrible. Yeah. They are working now, but they reconverted their farm from flowers to horticulture.
So you were talking about lack of regulations or problems with hygiene or residues of pesticides. But are you aware of any improvement at federal level as low as new laws to reduce the amount of residues of pesticides or to improve the rules regarding the food safety in Argentina?
Yes, there are. In the especially in the with the empty, you mentioned it, the empty phytosanitary containers. In this issue, especially, yes, we have legislation. We have some protocols, and we have a mechanism, a tool to throw away
or residues.
Yes. But it's not implemented exactly in our area. In our area, they have already done. But for example, not for the plastics that we have a lot, because we have storms, maybe once a year. And with all the plastic that we have, it's terrible. But, well, the producers burn this.
So it's a lot of dioxin
plastics
in the air. Yeah.
Sometimes after the storms, you see big clouds, black clouds. But there are informal channels to recycle this, and we are trying to advise in this way. Susana, I don't know if you want to add something else.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
Can I?
Sorry.
Can I do a short question, Mariana?
Yes, Angelo.
Okay. First of all, thank you for your nice presentation. You brought me back to my secondment in Argentina. Thank you. The question is...
you will be very welcome if you come again.
Thank you. You are my friends. Now I have in Argentina a lot of friends. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, the question is is there a certification about organic or biological vegetable products in Argentina now to differentiate that from, for example, common vegetable products? If there is a label to to mark organic or biological products?
If there's a mark?
Yes.
Yes. In the slides, I show you a label.
Label, okay.
That is a national label, Organic Argentina.
Okay.
But this is obligatory for all the products certified organic, but you have to use the label of the certifier. We have in Argentina four or five, I'm not sure now, four national certifiers that make the certification process for your product, and you have to use it too. Both labels, the Argentina label, Organic Argentina, and the other. This was your question?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes.
There is a difference of price between organic or biological product and common vegetable production?
Yes, in general it is. They are more expensive. But, for example, myself, that I have a big production, I sold a lot of years very similar, with a price very similar to the conventional. Now I sell much more expensive, much more expensive, because I have a very special production. You know, Angelo, I have a lot of varieties, maybe 20 different tomatoes, cauliflowers, and so on.
Yes, I remember that. I remember that.
So I can't sell cheap my production, but there's a lot of not so expensive expensive organic production, and the organic production are selling a lot now. So I think it's not very expensive, because yesterday with Rina and Sebastián Elgueta from Chile, they were telling about that the organic production is much expensive. Yes, sometimes it is, but sometimes it isn't. For example, in Brazil, it's quite similar, the price. Here we have a very big agroecological production that are not organic, but some of them maybe is quite similar. Some of them we don't know. And this is not expensive, for example.
Okay, thank you. And of course, it was a pleasure to see you again.
For me too, for me too.
Hi, I would like to make a question. That's possible.
Jorge?
Yeah. Well, since the beginning, we have been discussing a lot about this connection between the agricultural sector and cities. So we talk about the peri-urban agriculture. So because,
Yes.
of course, cities are growing and all the stuff. And I remember that also in Italy, we saw that a lot in the region of Puglia and Basilicata, Bari, etc. That cities are growing, and eventually it's a fight between what is going to be. Is it going to be the city, or is it going to be the farming or agricultural area? What is happening currently in La Plata about that? Is this connection between agriculture and cities? Is there any strategies? Or what is happening in La Plata about this peri-urban agriculture?
Well, first of all, we have a lot of problems but well, there are not, especially because we are peri-urban. Lot of problems inside our rural area. But there's a fighting with the prices of the land, for example, because we are very near, we are 30 kilometers from the city exactly. And the price of the land to rent, the rent, I don't know the name in English. If you want to rent the land, it's very, it has a very high price. This one, and we are near we are very near the city, and for example, you have a lot of waste, these plastics, all this that I described. We use pesticides. I don't use, but the rural area used. There's a lot of flies because the fresh manure call the flies. Well, these are our problems not solved, not already solved. But there are some groups that they are working for recognize the greenbelt as a rural area important to be, not to be part, but to be near the city to receive fresh vegetables. There are more or less heavy work about it.
Ah, interesting. Because
Yes.
I mean, I think that this waste from cities to agriculture. So how this is, or what is really happening in terms of waste in La Plata connecting to agriculture? What is the current stage?
Terrible, nothing.
So what they do?
Well, for nothing in general aspects. But in empty phytosanitary containers, I can tell you the same group are working a lot to recognize our greenbelt as a greenbelt necessary for the city too. Was working a lot, and I think that in maybe now it's all bad, but I think that in 6 months or 1 year, we can solve this particular problem that is maybe one of the worst, the empty phytosanitary containers. This is more or less solved. So it's okay.
All right, and is there any particular solutions nowadays in order to kind of to support that, like some traceability information where the phyto containers are?
Es el que habla como...
Sorry?
Huh?
No.
Sorry, Gustavo, you are speaking?
No, about
No,
your
no.
question. I didn't understand a lot, very well.
I mean, I'm saying that because you said that the phytosanitary containers, right? So is there any solution nowadays that in La Plata they are people thinking about supporting that problem, or is that identified as a problem, or is your observation only?
No. It's an identified problem. We work with this group that I mentioned. A committee. We have a committee with all the horticulture institutions within. We work for, and the agronomists together. We work for implement as soon as possible the mechanism to throw away in a correct form this particular waste.
Ah, interesting. Thank you very much, Mariana.
Mariana, I have a question. So now with so normally most of the people that don't have a farm, that live in the city, would buy vegetables from a grocery store or supermarket in the neighborhood, and we never wondered where are these vegetables coming from. What I learned by working with you is that it's quite possible that the tomatoes that I buy in the grocery store in the corner were harvested in La Plata, went all the way to Buenos Aires and to the market, and then came back to La Plata or something like that. So now what happens with the COVID is that many of us are buying online or via WhatsApp directly from farmers. In fact, I want to say that I buy from Mariana. I buy vegetables from Mariana once or twice a week, and they are not so expensive. And I'm learning a lot because she okay. For some friends, you have to keep the low price. And I'm learning a lot about vegetables because she introduces all of these weird things like kale and white carrots. So my question is there a change in the habits or the customs of consumers from buying in the grocery stores to buying directly from producers? Will it be a change to simplify the supply chain to take, is it possible to simplify that? Do you see a change in that?
Well, it's a big debate in our sector. I think that much of us, the agronomists and the horticulture sector, fight a lot during some years, these 20 years, to make shorter the gap between producers and consumers. And much more important is in these places that we are very near the city. We can go to the city and sell, but we have not, sometimes we have not all the variety that you need. Some producers make all the hectare that they have with spinach and beet, for example. They have not 10 varieties that a family want to eat. So it's difficult, this. We have, for example, in our university, and maybe in the University of La Plata, some ferias, ¿cómo es ferias? Fairs.
Yeah, market.
Markets, thank you. We have some markets when that they were developed for shorter this gap, that the producers can go and sell, but they have no all the varieties that the people want to buy. So this is one problem. But anyway, I think there are a lot of we are making a lot of effort to make that, to go to the city to sell our products, to make shorter this transport, that we go to Buenos Aires and then to there's a big movement in ecological agriculture and in gastronomy to make this, they call zero distance, 0 kilometer to make shorter, for example, to make shorter the distance between the food and the consumer. For example, this cooker, Mauro Colagreco, that has Carne, is a restaurant here in Argentina, is the most important cooker of the world. Now, Mauro Colagreco, they they have one of the aims, 0 kilometer. So they buy our production, but because they are here in La Plata. But we sell to Buenos Aires too, and this is not so near. This was the question, Alejandro?
Yes, excellent, excellent.
Okay.
I just wanted to know about that. Thanks.
Okay.
And of course, you keep the low price of the vegetables baskets that you send to the RUC-APS friends. Special RUC-APS price.
Okay, I will try. I have
okay,
to
so
to my daughter.
Organize your market for sending all your goods to Italy, for instance.
Oh, okay. I would like very much. I love your place.
Well,
okay,
certainly in RUC-APS
that,
we should go to many restaurants.
yeah, I'm surprised that I didn't know that you were producing, you know, full vegetables. So, but that's really good. You know, it's a very nice activity.
Yes, it is. Thank you. Okay.
Yeah. So, well, I would like to thank you to Mariana for his presentation and talk. I mean, always is a pleasure for all of us listening all your knowledge, sharing to all of us. I would like to invite you everybody to Hervé Paneto and Manuel Lesoch for the next session, which is in 1 minute.
Ah, okay.
So you're welcome to attend the session. So thank you, Mariana, very much. And
Thank
let's
you.
keep in touch.
Jorge.
Thank you, everybody, for attending the session.
Bye.
Ciao.
Goodbye.
Ciao.
Goodbye. Thank you very much for your attention.
Mariana, entonces, cuando termine de grabar, vemos cómo hacemos para que me mande los videos, así los subo.
Dale.
Listo, abrazo.
Gracias. Chao.
Mariana, soy Federico, estuvo muy bueno, te felicito, estuvo muy buena la charla.
Bueno, gracias, Federico.
Bueno, hablamos.
Gracias.
Chao.
Chao.